Okay, picture this. It's a Tuesday night. You're winding down on the couch. Maybe you've got a movie on. The house is finally quiet. And lying on the rug next to you is your German Shepherd. This is the dog you raised from a puppy. The breed known for being, the ultimate guardian, loyal, gentle.
A shadow that follows you everywhere. The dog you trust with your life, the one you'd swear usually knows what you're thinking before you do.
Exactly that one. So you reach down to pet them, just a casual scratch behind the ears like you've done 10,000 times before. But this time you don't get a tail wag.
You don't get that little nudge for more.
Instead, you hear a sound that triggers something primal in your own brain, a low, vibrating growl. Or maybe without any sound at all.
A snap.
Yeah. And teeth making contact with air, or worse, your hand.
It's a moment that just freezes your blood. And it's not just fear, it's this profound sense of betrayal.
It really is. You look at this animal and you're thinking, who are you? And where did my dog go? That feeling, that confusion is exactly what we're tackling today. We're doing a deep dive into sudden aggression in German Shepherds. And I want to start by saying, if you're listening to this because you are living this right now, just take a breath. Because the materials we've pulled together for this deep dive suggest that your first instinct, it's probably wrong.
Right. The knee-jerk reaction for almost every owner is, well, it's the guilt trip. It's immediate. I failed the training. I wasn't strict enough. Or even that really dark thought, I just have a bad dog.
But the research we're unpacking today, specifically a comprehensive breakdown on understanding and addressing sudden aggression, it flips the whole narrative on its head.
It really does. The core thesis here is vital. And if you take nothing else away, take this. Aggression is rarely a character flaw. It is almost never a choice the dog is making to be mean or spiteful.
It's a symptom.
It's a symptom. It's usually a silent medical emergency or a desperate cry for help from an animal that has run out of other ways to communicate.
I think that framing is going to be a lifeline for a lot of our listeners. It moves us from being angry or hurt to being, curious.
Yes.
So here is our roadmap for this deep dive. We have 3 main pillars to get through. First, the biological betrayal. The hidden medical triggers that can turn a good dog aggressive.
Then second, we're going to try to see the world through their eyes to really understand the behavioral side of things.
And finally, we have to talk solutions, actual, actionable steps. Because if you skip the investigation and go straight to fixing it with training, you can actually make the dog much, much worse.
So much worse.
Let's jump straight into that first pillar then, the biological betrayal.
Yeah.
The source material makes a claim that I think it surprises a lot of people.
Yeah.
It says pain is the primary suspect.
Right. Not dominance, not terror, pain. It's absolutely the first box you have to check. And to understand why, you have to look at the evolutionary history of the dog. I mean, in the wild, weakness is a death sentence. If an animal shows pain, if they limp or whimper or look vulnerable, they just become a target for predators or even their own pack.
So they're hardwired to be stoic. They're basically playing poker with their health.
Incredibly stoic. Our domestic dogs have inherited this ability to just mask pain until they physically cannot hold it in anymore. They suffer in silence until that pressure creates a break.
That's terrifying. It implies they could be hurting for weeks without us even knowing.
Oh, easily.
The source used an analogy here that I found incredibly helpful to understand the snap. They called it the migraine analogy.
This puts it in human terms perfectly. Imagine you have a migraine. Not just a headache, but a skull-splitting, light-sensitive migraine. The kind where, the hum of the refrigerator hurts your eyes.
I know that feeling.
You're sitting on the couch, holding your head, just trying to keep it together, and suddenly, someone you love, your partner, your kid, comes up and playfully ruffles your hair.
Oh, I'm snapping at them immediately. Don't touch me.
Exactly. You might yell. You might push their hand away aggressively. Now, let me ask you, are you a mean person? Are you suddenly an aggressive person?
No, I'm in pain.
Yeah.
My fuse is non-existent.
Precisely. The pain has hijacked your response system. Your reaction is a defensive reflex. And that is exactly what happens with our dogs. The growl isn't, I hate you. It is, I hurt, and I cannot handle being touched right now.
And for German Shepherds specifically, are there certain, physical culprits we need to be looking for? Because they are big, robust dogs.
Yeah.
You don't really expect them to be fragile.
Well, German Shepherds are susceptible to a few things that fit this pattern perfectly. Hip dysplasia and arthritis are the big ones. Think about how we show affection to big dogs. We pet them down the back, right? right over the hips. If those joints are inflamed, that touch is agonizing.
And GSDs have that sloping back, right?
Right.
So the mechanics of their hips are always kind of a concern.
Exactly. And it's not just the hips. The source mentioned dental issues, too. A cracked tooth is a classic hidden trigger. If a dog has a slab fracture on a molar and you go to touch their face or they're eating, that pain can be searing.
Or what about ear infections? My friend's dog had one, and he wouldn't let anyone near his head at all.
Ear infections are incredibly painful. So if you reach for your dog's collar to put their leash on and you just graze an infected ear, they might snap.
And it's not because they don't want to go for a walk.
Not at all. It's because they are anticipating that shock of pain.
So we have to put on our detective hats. The source talks about looking for context clues rather than just looking at the bite itself. What does that detective work actually look like?
You're looking for patterns in the timing. Does the aggression happen only near the food bowl?
Okay, that would point to dental pain chewing hurts.
Right. Do they snap when you put the collar on? Check the ears or the neck? Have they stopped wanting to jump into the car or play fetch?
That's a big one.
Yeah, that's likely joint pain. Sometimes it's even subtler, a vacant stare, or maybe they're obsessively licking one spot on their leg.
Okay, so pain is suspect number one. But then the deep dive gets into something that honestly sounds like it's straight out of a medical thriller. They call it rage syndrome. Is this a real thing?
It is rare, but it is very real. Rage syndrome, or idiopathic aggression, is essentially a neurological condition. It's often related to seizure activity in the brain.
A seizure. I mean, I usually think of a seizure as, shaking on the floor.
That's a grand mal seizure, but this is different. It's like a misfire in the brain, specifically affecting the aggression centers. The dog has zero choice in the matter.
And the scary part about rage syndrome is the switch.
The switch. The dog could be sleeping peacefully 1 minute, and the next, they are in a full-blown explosive attack.
And the source emphasized unprovoked.
That's the key discriminator. Unprovoked means you didn't touch them, you didn't startle them, there was no food or toy nearby, it just happened.
Are there warning signs for this? Or is it totally out of the blue?
There are often visual cues right before it hits. Owners report that the dog's eyes glaze over, they look vacant, like nobody is home. The aggression is totally disproportionate to anything happening in the room.
Yeah.
And then, and this is the heartbreaking part, just as quickly as it started, it stops.
And the dog is just back.
Because
They might be confused, they might seem dazed, disoriented, or even sort of apologetic. It's almost like they don't know what just happened because effectively they weren't there for it.
that's profound. And it just highlights why punishment would be so incredibly cruel in that scenario. You can't train a seizure out of a brain.
Never. That requires medical intervention, anticonvulsants, usually.
Yeah.
And while we're on the brain, we should probably mention that older dogs can suffer from canine cognitive dysfunction.
Right. That's basically doggy Alzheimer's.
It is. And just think about how scary the world becomes when you're confused. If an older dog doesn't recognize you for a moment or feels lost in their own living room, they might react with defensive aggression out of sheer terror. They're literally fighting off a stranger, even if that stranger is you.
Mm-hmm.
Before we move off the medical stuff, there was one more category that I think is easy to miss because it's not visible like a limb. Hormones, specifically the thyroid.
The thyroid is the master regulator. If a dog has hypothyroidism, which is pretty common in shepherds, their metabolism slows down, they gain weight, they get lethargic.
And it also causes significant irritability, like being permanently grumpy.
Basically, it just lowers their threshold for annoyance. Things that they used to tolerate suddenly become intolerable. A simple blood test can catch this, and once it's treated with medication, the personality change can be miraculous.
So the takeaway for this first pillar is crystal clear. If your dog snaps, call the vet, not the trainer.
The vet, absolutely. You have to rule out the physical before you ever look at the mental.
Okay, so let's assume we've done the due diligence, we've done the blood work, the x-rays, the neurological exam. The vet gives us the all clear, the dog is healthy. Now we have to look at behavior. And here, the source makes a very strong distinction between two concepts, fear and dominance.
This is where we have to dismantle one of the most persistent and damaging myths in dog ownership. The idea that a dog is trying to be the alpha or dominate you.
We still hear this all the time. Don't let him walk in front of you. He thinks he's the boss, or you have to pin him down to show him who's in charge.
It's just outdated science. It's mostly based on flawed studies of captive wolves from the 1940s. The source is very clear. If the aggression isn't medical, the root is almost always fear.
Fear. Not a power trip.
Right. The aggression is functional. It's an attempt to create distance. They are saying, I am scared of that thing, that stranger, that other dog, that hand, and I need it to go away.
But we often miss the fact that they're scared, don't we? We act surprised when they growl, but they've probably been telling us for a while.
They have been shouting it in their language. But we don't speak dog very well. The source calls this the escalation ladder. Before a dog snaps, they whisper.
What does a whisper look like?
It's subtle. A quick tongue licking their nose when there's no food around, yawning when they aren't tired, turning their head away from you to break eye contact.
And the whale eye. I've seen that shirt.
Yes, where they turn their head but keep their eyes locked on you so you see the whites of their eyes in a crescent shape. That is a sign of intense discomfort. These are all polite ways a dog says, please stop, I am uncomfortable.
And when we ignore those whispers?
They have to shout. That's the growl. And here is where the source gives a warning that I think is the most critical safety tip in this entire deep dive.
What's that?
Never, ever punish the growl.
Can we unpack that?
Yeah.
Because the human instinct is, hey, don't growl at me. We want to shut down the disrespect.
It feels like disrespect to us, but it's communication. Think about it this way. If you punish the growl, you are taking away the warning system. You aren't changing the fear, you're just suppressing the noise.
You're taking the batteries out of the smoke detector.
Perfect analogy. The fire is still burning, so the dog learns, okay, growling gets me in trouble, it doesn't work. The next time they are scared, they will skip the growl and go straight to the bite.
You create a dog that bites without warning.
And that is a chilling thought. A silent biter is infinitely more dangerous.
So we need to respect the growl as valuable information. It's the dog saying, I am at my limit.
Exactly. Thank the dog for the growl, back off, and then figure out why they felt they needed to do it.
Now, why are German Shepherds specifically so prone to this fear-based stuff? I mean, they're big, tough dogs. You see them working with police. You don't equate them with being scared.
It often goes back to socialization. There is a critical window, roughly between 3 and 16 weeks of age, where a puppy's brain is just like a sponge. It's deciding what is safe and what is dangerous.
And if they don't see enough of the world during that time?
If they aren't exposed to new people, funny hats, loud trucks, umbrellas, other dogs, during that window, they can develop a deep-seated fear of the unknown. And since GSDs are bred to be guardians, that lack of socialization can twist their natural protectiveness into suspicion and paranoia.
So instead of, I protect you from bad guys, it becomes, everything is a bad guy.
Exactly. And trauma plays a role too, doesn't it? Even things that happened years ago.
Right.
Trauma is like a dormant memory. A dog might have been attacked by another dog 3 years ago. They seem fine, but then a specific trigger, maybe the sound of a certain color jingling or a dog moving a certain way, reactivates that trauma. It's essentially PTSD. The reaction is immediate and defensive.
There's one more behavioral trigger the source mentions that I found fascinating. It explains those weird moments where a dog bites the owner even though the owner wasn't doing anything. Redirected aggression.
This is surprisingly common and very misunderstood. Imagine the dog is at the front window, there is a squirrel outside, or the mail carrier. The dog wants to get to them.
So it's frustrated, excited, barking, adrenaline pumping. It can't get through the glass.
Yeah, the pressure cooker is building, and then you walk up behind them and grab their collar to pull them away.
And they spin around and snap at you.
Exactly. It's an explosion of pent-up energy. They aren't targeting you. They are just discharging that frustration on the closest object. It's not malicious, but it is dangerous.
So in that moment, just let them be.
Call them away, distract them with a noise, but don't physically grab a high-arousal dog. You're just asking to be the outlet for that energy.
Okay, so we've mapped the terrain. We understand the medical side, pain, seizures, hormones, and we understand the behavioral side, fear, missed signals, frustration. Now, the million-dollar question, what do we do? The source outlines a path to a solution, and it starts with something they call the seatbelt analogy.
This is about the basket muzzle. And I know for many owners, putting a muzzle on their dog feels like admitting defeat. It looks scary. It looks like you have a bad dog.
It feels like you failed. You worry what the neighbors are going to think.
But the source reframes it beautifully. A muzzle is not a punishment. It is a safety tool, just like a seatbelt. You don't wear a seatbelt because you plan to crash your car today. You wear it just in case.
That makes so much sense. It just takes the catastrophe off the table.
Exactly. A properly fitted basket muzzle, not the cloth ones that hold the mouth shut, but the plastic or wire cages, allows the dog to pant, drink water, and even eat treats.
But it prevents biting.
It prevents biting. It allows you to relax. And dogs pick up on our tension. If you are tense holding the leash, they are tense.
So it breaks that feedback loop of anxiety.
Oh.
If I know he can't bite, I'm calmer, so he's calmer.
Yes. And just like a leash, you can condition the dog to love it. You put peanut butter in it, you give them treats just for seeing it. It becomes the treat basket, not the punishment cage.
That is a game changer for peace of mind. And then there's management. This seems to be about changes the environment, not just the dog.
Management is about stopping the bleeding. Stop testing the dog. If your dog is aggressive toward visitors, don't try to force them to say hi to prove they're friendly.
Right.
Put the dog in a crate in a back room with a stuffed Kong before you open the front door.
It sounds so simple, but we often want to prove our dog is okay. We want that Lassie moment where they shake hands.
And that ego can get people hurt. While you are investigating the cause, you must avoid the triggers entirely. If they hate being touched while sleeping...
Stop touching them while they sleep, period. Don't poke the bear.
Exactly.
So we're managing safety. We've gone to the vet. Now, how do we actually fix the brain? How do we rewire the behavior? The source talks about desensitization and counter-conditioning. Those are some $10 words.
They sound academic, but the concept is actually pretty intuitive. Let's break it down. Desensitization means exposing the dog to the scary thing, but at a very, very low intensity.
So if they hate other dogs, we aren't walking right up to one to socialize them.
No, that's flooding, and it usually makes things worse because the dog panics. Desensitization means you might be 100 yards away. The dog sees the other dog, but they aren't barking. They are aware, but calm.
They're under threshold.
They're under threshold. That's step 1. And step 2 is counter-conditioning.
Okay.
That is changing the emotional response. So while the dog is looking at that scary dog 100 yards away, you are feeding them high-value treats. Chicken, cheese, steak.
The good stuff, not the dry kibble.
The best stuff you have.
Yeah.
You are rewriting the equation in their brain. The old equation was other dog threat. The new equation becomes other dog cheese.
I like cheese, therefore I like seeing other dogs.
Eventually, yes. But it takes time. You repeat this over and over. See dog, get cheese. Then, over weeks, you slowly close the distance. But, and this is crucial, only if the dog stays calm.
Right.
If they react, bark, or lunge, you've gone too fast. You have to back up.
This sounds simple in theory, but I imagine in practice timing is everything. This is probably where professional help comes in. But the source is pretty specific about who to hire.
Yes. This is not the time to hire the guy who guarantees he can fix any dog in 2 weeks. You want a board-certified veterinary behaviorist, a DACVB, or certified behavior consultant. These are people with advanced degrees in animal learning.
And there is a massive warning in the source about certain tools.
Explicitly. Avoid anyone who suggests shock collars, prong collars, or physical punishment for this type of aggression.
Why is the source so adamant about that? Because you see those tools sold everywhere.
Go back to the root cause. If the aggression is caused by fear, which we know it usually is, and you add pain via a shock collar when they see another dog, what are you teaching them?
You're just confirming their fear. See dog, get shocked. The dog was right all along.
Exactly. You are confirming that the world is indeed a dangerous place. You might suppress the barking for a moment because they are afraid of the shock, but you are making the underlying emotion, the fear, much worse. It's a ticking time bomb.
That's critical to remember. We're trying to build trust, not more fear. And sometimes medication is part of that trust building, isn't it?
It is. And there's a stigma about putting dogs on meds like Prozac or other anti-anxiety medication. People think, I don't want a drugged dog.
Yeah.
But think of it this way. If a dog is in a constant state of panic, they cannot learn. Their brain is in survival mode.
Learning centers are just shut down.
Correct. Medication can lower that panic water level just enough to let the training sink in. It opens the door for the counter-conditioning to work. It's not about sedating them. It's about enabling them to cope.
It's tool, not a crutch.
Exactly.
Wow, we've covered a ton of ground here.
Yeah.
From the biological betrayal of pain and seizures to the whispers of fear and the escalation ladder.
If there is one thing I hope listeners take away, it's that this sudden aggression is a communication breakdown. It's likely pain, fear, or biology. It is almost never badness.
And that means you aren't a bad owner. Your relationship isn't over. It's just changing. You have to step up and be their advocate.
You have to be the one who listens to the silent scream. When you look at it that way, with empathy instead of anger, that's when the healing starts. That's how you help your companion find their way back to you.
I love that. Listen to the silent scream.
Yeah.
It's a powerful place to leave it. But here's the final thought to chew on as you go about your day. We talked about how much pain dogs hide because of their evolutionary history. It makes you wonder, in our own lives with the people around us, how often are we mistaking someone's snappiness or aggression for just bad behavior and might actually be their own version of a silent scream?
That is a fascinating connection.
How much empathy are we missing because we're reacting to the growl instead of asking about the pain?
Something to think about.
Thanks for listening to this deep dive. We'll catch you on the next one.
Stay curious.